Welcome once again, everybody, to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk for Friday, November 16th. I'm Aaron Blocks with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Today, trade right off the bat today. Well, let's jump right into it. We got a full show for you guys. Matt, tell us what happened. Who are the teams involved? Who are the players involved?
Oh, right. Yeah. So the Edmonton Oilers traded Ryan Strome to the New York Rangers for Ryan Spooner. Both of these guys have been struggling so far this year. Each have 1 goal and 2 points so far this year. Spooner's been a healthy scratch a few times this year. But yeah, Spooner is really interesting because when he got traded to the Rangers last year at the trade deadline, he ripped it up going with 16 points in 20 games. But I think with the new coach there, with Vigneault being gone, he doesn't fit the style of play that the Rangers are going so far this year. And Ryan Strome, he just hasn't really been a fit at all in Edmonton since the trade for Jordan Eberle. I broke down some numbers here. Jordan Eberle has played in 99 games with the Islanders so far. It's 30 goals and 69 points. Strome played 100 games for the Oilers, only had 14 goals and 36 points. And if you want to throw on that Taylor Hall for Adam Larson trade as well, Hall has 165 points in 165 games and a Hart Trophy, while Larson only has 8 goals and 38 points in 160 games, different position and stuff. But
So you're telling us Peter Chiarelli is a good general manager.
I know. And then if you want to throw in that Milan Lucic contract on top of that, I think he could be the first general manager fired this year. I'd say, but yeah,
well, it could be worse. He could be the Calgary Flames and have the James Neal contract.
Yes, there are a few, or if you want to go here in Vancouver, the Louis Eriksson contract. But at least he's actually playing.
He's producing, right? At least he's producing and he's playing well.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's a good fresh start for both players. Maybe Spooner playing or knowing Lucic, maybe that can give him a boost. Lucic only having 1 goal so far this year as well. Hopefully they're both young guys. Strome's 25, Spooner's 26. Both still with some offensive upside. So we'll see if that gives them a fresh start and they can start producing offensively.
Well, let's jump into some NHL suspensions handed down as well as some fines. And then we're going to go over the theme of today's shows, injuries, as we can make an NHL All-Star team out of the players that just recently got injured in the last few days. But jump us into the suspensions and fines.
Yes, so Josh Archibald of the Arizona Coyotes was suspended 2 games today for a hit to the head of Ryan Hartman. It was up against the boards and his elbow came up, got him right in the head. Hartman didn't return. I think he only played about 7 minutes last night. And 2 fines. Matt Cullen was fined $1,000 for a dangerous trip on JT Miller in last night's game against Tampa Bay. While Josh Morrissey was fined around just a little under $85K for a body slam on TJ Oshie. Which was a little bit similar to the Patterson Matheson incident there, where Matheson got 2 games. And I thought, even though I think we were talking about before the show, you thought that it was just a little bit of a difference on how the play went down. I think the one thing I would have brought up is that Morrissey was suspended in the playoffs last year, so he did have something on his record. So I thought he might have gone in the game at least for that play on Oshie.
Yeah, it just looked more fluent and wasn't revenge-seeked in that game. But Matt Cullen obviously frustrated after Braden Point netting in the hat trick in 3 minutes and 19 seconds, I believe. It
was just over a minute and a half.
Oh, wow, crazy.
Yeah. I think
pretty on a show, but so crazy. I'm surprised Morrissey. I'm actually not surprised. I mean, that's a pretty hefty fine. That's going to hurt him in the pocketbook. I think 1 game would have been okay as well, but this fine is actually probably even more significant. It will hurt the player itself. He'll think twice about doing it. They've really set the tone. They've really set, what they expect on that type of play this year. So I think it was good because I think it'd be hard to suspend somebody in the NHL playoffs during one of those types of plays. But we have an all-star team full of injuries. Why don't you start us off with Sid the Kid?
Yeah, so Crosby's going to be out at least a week with an upper body injury. Head coach Mike Sullivan said it's not concussion related, as Pittsburgh's dealing with some injuries, but it looks like they could be getting Derek Brassard back on Saturday, so that'll give them a bit of a boost, as Pittsburgh's now in last place in the Eastern Conference. Who would have seen that after the first 17 games of the season there? But we also have Andrei Vasilevsky, who's out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured foot that he suffered in practice. Victor Arvidsson with the Nashville Predators is out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken thumb, while PK Subban is on injured reserve with an upper body injury as well. Zdeno Chara with the Boston Bruins. Looks like it's going to be a knee injury. He's being
it was his left knee, all right, if you saw the highlight. Looked nasty.
Yeah, so he's been flown back to Boston to be reevaluated, but that injury did not look good whatsoever. In Anaheim, we have Cam Fowler, who took a puck to the face, and he suffered a broken jaw, broken cheekbone, and a broken orbital bone. I believe he's having surgery today, so they will know the full extent to that injury. Looks like tomorrow at least. But yeah, that's a huge blow for the Ducks blue line. What else do we have here? Yevgeny Kuznetsov, who also suffered an injury in that Winnipeg game. He took a hit to the head from Brandon Tanev, who was assessed a 2-minute penalty for a illegal check to the head. But him, Oshie, and Braden Holtby, who's also out with an upper body injury, are all out tonight for Washington as well. All listed day-to-day, so nothing too serious, it looks like. But with Kuznetsov and Oshie with those head injuries, you never know if those could go into long-term injuries.
Well, just look at some of the past history of head injuries. I mean, here in Vancouver, Baertschi and Demko seem to be taking forever. You know, Marc-Andre Fleury, Matt Murray, they've suffered head injuries, and a lot of people have said that they have rushed back and had to get hurt a couple of times, I think, for them to stay out. But Corey Crawford, another one that comes to mind. So head injuries are one of those things that you just don't know. Tough to say, and I know they list a lot of those players now week to week. But Braden Point with the hat trick last night. We touched on that. You mentioned Pittsburgh in last place now in their division. It's really interesting to me how much parity there is right now. We're a quarter way through the NHL season almost, and really no team but maybe Los Angeles is out of the playoff picture. But I still think if they go on a winning streak, they could climb their way back in. There's just so many teams right now that are playing around 500 or a little above or a little below. Outside of Nashville and Tampa, in my opinion, there's not a lot of teams that are separating themselves from the pack. But because you look in the Metropolitan Division, Columbus right now seems to be the one team that is separating themselves a little bit. You know, why don't we touch on some of the teams that you think? Let's go. Who are your top 5 teams right now in the NHL?
All right. Well, for one,
I'd be
all right. Yeah. For one, I'd have the Tampa Bay Lightning. Even though we'll see with Vasilevsky being out for at least a month, it'll be interesting to see if Louis Domingue can carry the load there. Even though since being traded from Arizona to Tampa Bay, he's actually been playing really well in that backup role. But I believe their third stringer is Connor Ingram, who doesn't have any NHL experience. But he did turn pro, I believe, last year in the American Hockey League and had some decent numbers down there. The Nashville Predators would be my number 2, even though they lost 2-1 to Arizona last night. Pekka Rinne has some pretty godlike numbers right now. And Philippe Forsberg has been ripping it up offensively with 12 goals so far this season. The Toronto Maple Leafs are just 1 point behind Tampa Bay with 26 points. They had a big win against the Sharks last night in a 5-3 win. And if you didn't see Freddie Anderson's great stretch pass to Mitch Marner last night for his goal, look that up, because that was actually a great play. Anderson actually just missed out on scoring an empty netter earlier this year as well. So his stick handling's been a bit underrated there. But Toronto with Tavares, Marner, all those guys up front have been ripping it up. Tavares on a 7-game point streak with 5 goals and 10 points. I would also go with the Minnesota Wild as my 4th team. They smoked our Vancouver Canucks last night, 6-2, which I think we were expecting with all the injuries and Richard Bachman being in net, and that a really bad gaff to Mikko Koivu for that goal. But they're 6-1-2 on a home ice, and they're 11-3 in their past 14 games as they continue to rock and roll. And as I look for my 5th team, I would actually go with the Columbus Blue Jackets right now. They're 4-0-2 in their last 6 games. Bobrovsky and Korpisalo have actually been doing a pretty good job of late after some rough starts, and their numbers not looking too great at the beginning of the season. I think last night in their 7-3 win over Florida, they had 5 different players that had a goal and an assist in that game. So some pretty godlike numbers there. But yeah, those are the teams that are standing out to me. And just a couple more stats out there. Shout out to Mike Hoffman.
I'm gonna give you my 5 teams quick first before you shout out to Mike. I'm gonna go Nashville 1, Tampa 2, for similar reasons. I just think Nashville right now has the better depth. They seem to be going better than Tampa. I'm going to go Minnesota 3, Winnipeg 4, and either Toronto or Columbus as my 5th. I think I'm going to have to, unfortunately, as a Canucks fan, lean to Toronto right now, but Columbus is a close 6th right now. So those are my top 5. Shout out to Mike Hoffman.
Yeah, so Mike Hoffman set a new franchise record for the Florida Panthers last night with extending his point streak to 14 games, having 7 goals and 16 points in that time span. He passes Pavel Bure's franchise mark of 16 games. But wow, I'm just messing that up. Of 13 games with a point, set back in, I believe, 2000 was Bure. So that trade from Ottawa to Florida has really done him really good, playing with Barkov on that top line. And I believe that's – and a shout out for Cal Peterson, who will get his first career start tonight for the LA Kings. Sorry, I'm stuttering all over the place right now, trying to remember everything. But Peterson had a really good, strong coming off the bench against the Leafs, where he stopped 13 of 14 shots, I believe. And he's a top prospect for them that they got over from the Buffalo Sabres. They acquired his rights a couple years ago, and he had a really strong year in the American Hockey League last year. And hopefully he'll get a good win tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks.
Not to mess up Matt's stats, but Mike Hoffman came from San Jose before he came from Ottawa. So
he was there for a hot second.
Yeah, he was literally there for like 5 minutes, I bet. Final word before we go into this weekend and before we return on Monday. What can you tell our listeners?
All right, yeah, so we got 6 games on the schedule tonight. Tuukka Rask gets his first start since his personal leave over the past few days. Laurent Brossoit is getting the start tonight for Winnipeg against the Buffalo Sabres.
He looked great last time he played.
Oh yeah, he's actually really rejuvenated his career with some poor numbers with Edmonton the past couple of years. But actually having a really strong team in front of him also helps. We'll have highlights up on our Facebook page. I try to get them out in a relatively strong order. I think tonight the highlights will be a little bit behind because I myself have a hockey game tonight and tomorrow night as well. So I'll try to get all the highlights out in a good time. Make sure to like and share all those videos on our Facebook page and hit the like on our YouTube page and share us as well.
How dare you have a hockey game tonight and can't get the highlights up to our fans? All fun. I know everybody that watches, for the most part, you guys are diehard hockey fans. Like Matt said, remember to like and share, comment on our page, tell us what you like about your team, interact with us, subscribe to us on YouTube, but on Facebook, we are more active with some of the highlights. And we will be back on Monday with another edition of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxall, and with my co-host, Matt Balzer. We want to wish you guys the very best weekend and enjoy all the hockey that's on. We'll see you guys on Monday.